Going live now.
Okay,
correct.
Wait. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Of course you do. Are you serious?
No.
Now we're back. Right. Now we're live.
Can I use the bathroom joke again?
You can use. Now this will work. And you can use your bathroom joke again a third time if you want, but I think we've pretty much exhausted it.
I won't even talk about the bathroom joke anymore.
Oops, no, we don't want to do that. We want to do that. Great. Yay.
Okay.
We're live with Elliot. There's a lag on there. That's just showing us that it's all working fine and
Gotcha.
It's all good. If that's going to distract you, I can. You good?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Good. Well, I'm sorry to anyone who's tuning into this and noticing that we're actually a little bit later than what we thought we would be. We were having dinner with Scott and kind of got sidetracked by a whole bunch of conversations. But we're here now, and hi, and we have so much to talk about. It's really late at night, it's 10 o'clock.
It's going off on the streets too.
Streets of Seattle are blowing up, kind of, sort of. It's fucking cold. You are in the roasters competition tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel?
I haven't really thought about it.
Because you've had nothing going on.
No.
And yeah, we've been working together the last few months, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. It's been great.
Yeah, well, I hope that you feel that way. So what have we done in the last couple of months? You opened a new cafe.
We opened a new cafe.
Getting ready for a new roastery.
New roastery. We have all the permitting and all that ready to roll. We have a roaster sitting in there just waiting.
Doing nothing yet.
Just doing nothing, which you know all about. But yeah, opening the cafe was a huge thing for us.
So when you say it was a huge thing, so you had a cafe?
We had, we had the little 240 square feet shared workspace that we just leased randomly 2.5 years ago to roast coffee, because I wanted to learn more about roasting coffee. And
is that why you opened the cafe, to learn more about roasting or to serve coffee, or what was the go?
The original cafe thing?
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to learn more about roasting coffee, and
see if people wanted to drink
I was going to be a coffee lab thing or something. And
wow.
I was going to roast coffee for friends and family.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool setup because it was like the size of this room.
Yeah, about 240 square feet. Like I said, I wanted to learn how to roast coffee, and then people were like, you should serve coffee too. And I was like, I don't know how to serve coffee. I know nothing about that. How
did you go from not knowing how to serve coffee to serving such fucking delicious coffee now?
I just tried really hard.
Really?
A lot of research, yeah. A lot of, actually, the people that you've had on your podcast, diving into their books, their online tutorials from Perger, Scott's books, just looking at the stuff and learning and taking it in and learning immediately that there isn't a certain way to do everything.
Did that let you off the hook? Was that kind of like, oh, I can figure this out for myself?
I can do whatever I want.
And nothing's wrong?
Yeah.
But there kind of is the wrong.
There is. Yeah, there is the wrong. The wrong that everyone knows is wrong. But thinks it's right. But yeah. And
so you decide, I'm going to serve coffee and I'm going to figure it out. Where do you start that? Do you say, I'm going to go and find the people who have books out there, or I'm going to go to forums, or I'm going to go and drink coffee at other places?
Well, the reason I kind of started this is because I've had good cups of coffee across the country when I was racing bikes.
Because
I was a professional mountain biker and cyclocross guy. And I would have, amazing cups every now and then, that aha cup, and I wanted to recreate that as often as I could, and I just couldn't really find it all the time. No offense to the shops in San Diego, but they all have lovely coffee, but I would go to LA and I'd go to 5 spots. Well, what's the most expensive coffee? I want that. This isn't really good at all.
Yeah,
this doesn't recreate the aha moment. Why is this $12? What's going on here?
Yeah, wow.
So I wanted to bring just basically black coffee was my thing, you know. Like
so when you were in mountain biking and you were doing that professionally, going around the country, what was your drink?
Black coffee.
As just drip coffee?
Drip. If they had pour overs, I'd usually get an Ethiopian, because that was the first coffee that I had that was like, oh, what is this not bitter thing that is fruity and good and stuff like that.
Do you like naturals?
Yes.
Yes.
100% the opposite of
Scott.
Scott.
You're hearing this, Scott? Wherever the fuck you are. One for my team, mate.
I'm learning. It's taken, 2.5 years in to start trying to drink Kenyans.
Yeah.
Washed Kenyans.
Washed Kenyans. Not. I just want to kind of pump up this brightness, but I don't think I can do that now. Oh, it is what it is. I hope people can see it. I tasted one of your Kenyans a couple days ago and was so good. It was so good. You're about to enter the roasting competition, and we use your coffee for Elixir. And I'm so excited about what we're going to do with your coffee moving forward. How do you approach figuring out and picking the coffee that you're going to use for comp?
A lot of times it depends, and it comes down to how busy I am and where we can get coffee in time for it. We had one of the best coffees I've had in my life for New Orleans, for a Brewer's Cup, which wasn't for a Roaster's Comp. And I was trying to get that again, but the way shipping goes out of Panama and timelines, it didn't happen. So
that was a lot 236?
That was a lot 236 from 90 plus. That was an AHA cup, right?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh my God, that was so good.
Yeah, that was great.
That was one of those coffees that you're like, I remember exactly what I was doing when I drank that. When I drank it hot and when I drank it as Elixir.
Exactly. And we did the roasting comp last year and we did pretty well, but looking at the judges' notes and stuff, I feel they would actually score a washed coffee better than a natural.
Do you think that bias is because they've been taught not to like naturals?
And not that they've been taught to like naturals, but maybe you can find more clarity out of a washed coffee, and it's easier for the judges to distinctly pick out flavors.
I want to ask you something about the whole roasting and judging, and feel free to speak very openly. Matt did last night about his...
I didn't watch that yet.
Well, we spoke about the inefficiency of SCA scoring cards. We spoke about a whole bunch of bullshit about, does barista comp represent what we do? No, it doesn't.
No.
So with regards to roasting, what are your thoughts on, and I'm going to share mine, so feel free to be as honest as you can, but what are your thoughts on the quality of judging and how that can influence the actual outcome of the comp?
I think every country is going to be different. I think our judges in America are going to be different than the judges in Australia, and the level of professionalism or even experience that they have is going to vary widely.
Yeah.
And I think our judges here, I think we have a few good ones, but then there's always random judges, and you have no idea how calibrated they are to other judges.
Or how much experience they have.
How much experience they have.
What they know about roasting.
Yes. You have no idea. Do you really? Because when I get up there, we only have 5 minutes, and we have to talk about where this coffee came from, the moisture content, why we roasted it the way we did, and the tasting notes.
Yeah, wow.
I want to talk about things like, this is why I'm roasting this coffee this way.
And
this is what you need to do to properly develop coffee.
Yeah.
But they don't even know what that is, and they don't know how to judge that.
So how does it work? Do they give you the things that you have to speak about and that you have to...
Yeah, the score sheet goes over green coffee knowledge, roast knowledge, tasting evaluation, or something like that. So you get points, certain amount of points based on your green coffee knowledge. If you just talk about the moisture content and screen size and all that, then you get points based on explaining to them. I think they want to hear they want to be able to hear you talk about roasting it and go on your machine and be able to roast it, which to me, that's not really teaching or pushing the boundaries of, or like bringing up our roasting community.
Well, and it's not giving you the opportunity to show any kind of innovation.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no innovation at all.
Which one would think, and this is my big gripe with the whole roasting comp, is the idea of, well, the barista comp, people can, and they're making it harder and harder for them, and we spoke about this with Matt last night, is they're making it harder and harder for people to be able to bring some innovation to the contest, or the competition, sorry. But with roasting, there's none of that. Everyone uses the same machine. Everyone has the same kind of format, and it's a very limited kind of format. You've got 5 minutes, whereas I think it's 15 minutes for the barista comp.
Yeah, 15 minutes, yeah.
And I watched your one in NOLA live, and you had to fly through it.
Yeah, I had a timer. I went over it last year in our speech, and we lost. I went over 53 seconds because I didn't see the guy give me a 1 minute warning, and we don't have timers like the baristas do.
Can you take your own?
Yeah, I took my own in NOLA. I learned that the hard way. So we would have done a lot better last year had we have known that. But
what coffee did you use last year?
Chembe from 90 Plus, they're natural Ethiopian, and it actually scored really good. One of the judges actually really liked it. So,
do you think that the coffee that you select gives you an edge? So, sorry, let me rephrase the question. Could an average roaster do better with a really great coffee than a good roaster with an average coffee?
110%.
That's shit.
All day long. That's one thing I'm learning. It's, because I'm still very new, which I have a question for you later. Remind me to bring it up. It's easy to make good coffee taste okay or really good, but it's hard to say if you have an 86, 88 scoring Kenya or Colombia, whatever it is, to get it to that. It's really easy to make a low, to get the full potential out of a lower scoring coffee. That's the real struggle. In day-to-day roasting, having a shop and running it, that's the real hard thing.
I used to drag race, and do you know much about drag racing? So you know the difference between heads up and bracket racing.
Yeah, you've told me.
Yeah, so like for anyone who's tuning in, heads up is where the Christmas tree lights go off at the same time and the drivers leave at the same time, and whoever ends up at the end wins. And that's down to the ability of the car, essentially, and a little bit of skill from the driver. But bracket racing is where essentially if my car goes 2 seconds faster than another person's car, they get to leave 2 seconds before me. So technically we should end up at the finish line at the same time. And then it's really down to driver ability for something like that. And I think it's a very similar thing with regards to what we're talking about in roasting. Like, if everyone is given the same thing to start with, then it's down to the roaster's ability. But you're not in this situation. It's more the heads up kind of situation, because you can pick whatever fucking car you want, or here you can pick whatever fucking coffee you want.
Right.
Just go and get a Simeona Bay or get a Lot 236 and whatnot, and you're gonna immediately give yourself an edge over everybody else, because only certain people can afford these coffees. Right.
True. And to be clear, there's 2 categories. We are all given the same compulsory coffee, which we roast here, and we roast the coffee that we bring, our selected coffee, and we roast that at our own roastery.
Wow.
And we bring that. And we are not in the fast car with our current roaster. And
yeah. What are you roasting on right now?
We have a little Ambex YM2.
How big is it?
2 kilos.
It's so fucking cute. It really is. I remember walking into your shop for the first time. I'm like, oh, look, they've got a model roaster in there. Like, so where's your real roaster? And you're like, no, this is it. We're using it right now.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Oh, it's running. You're here? Oh, it's probably running.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like,
all day long.
Okay, it's not a model. Yeah. It's their real roaster.
Yeah.
And you make fucking delicious coffee on it. And when we started talking about me working with you and consulting for Steady State and whatnot, like I don't just say yes to everyone, because I I'm not going to represent shitty coffee. And I was so impressed with everything about your branding, particularly you and the way that you approach your business and how thoughtful you are about the experience for you as a roaster, the experience for your customers, the experience for your staff, the approach that you have to, mapping a whole career for your staff. It was super impressive.
That brings me to my question.
Go ahead.
You just kind of covered it. Why am I here?
Why are you here?
You've had Scott, Matt.
Oh, so you have a question for me why you're here.
Yeah.
So the reason you're here is because I think, so this podcast is about having conversations with people who I love having conversations with, and we talk all the time. And more so, I want this to be a platform where I can bring people who I think other people in the coffee industry should be aspiring to be inspired by. And I'm constantly really, I want to say pleasantly surprised, but I'm never really actually surprised by how you keep raising your own bar. You know those, I don't know what they call them, but there's those exercise things where...
pull-up bars.
Are they the ones that...
Oh, the jumper thing.
Those things.
We probably asked Jared, he would know.
Jared would know. But you remind me of that. So, it's so hard to get to the next rung, and then you just keep on your own, keep trying to raise the bar with something like that. And no matter what we achieve with your business, you're constantly like, okay, so how can we improve on this? And it's a mindset that I think a lot of people aspire to want to be like and don't know how to do that. And I'm more than anything impressed by your ability to say, I don't know. It's something you and Scott both have in common. Scott's the first person to be like, I don't know, but I'm going to go and find out about this. And yeah, it's something that really impresses me because you knew the point where you were going to tell me, let's work together. And you'd clearly thought about it, and you just embraced the fact that you didn't know how you're going to execute what you wanted to do. So you went and found people that can help you do that. And it has been such a great experience for me.
That's good.
I hope it's been...
It's been great for me too. Yeah. The last 5 months have been awesome. Can I say too?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm in the coffee industry.
Can I just say...
Because you've had all these industry professionals and we're always talking coffee industry, and I don't even feel like...
I think you should...
The coffee industry...
Look, Lucia was saying the same thing.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, well, she was saying the same thing, and I think that everyone suffers from this thing of feeling like a fraud for a little while because there is no university degree that we can go and get to become coffee professionals. And so we just show up in the coffee industry and now we're coffee professionals. Yeah. So I think that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's why I think a lot of people
feel
like...
You've been roasting coffee for 4 years and you're in the competition?
Bro, there are people who are roasting for 3 months and they're like, I want to attend a roasting masterclass. What? No, I don't want to go to the basics. Yeah. I want to go to the masterclass because I'm a master roaster. And it's like, that's not the way to go about it.
Yeah.
Attend the basics. Instead of spending all this money on a masterclass, like hire him for an hour.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, we have an open email communication.
And he's really good about that
stuff. It's great, and it's probably dime for dime the best spend on anything.
Yeah. It's one of those things of like, I'm a big believer. Go and find people that can help you and just start a conversation with them. And they'll tell you if they're the right person for you. You'll know.
Yeah, 100%.
People want to work. Like, there's no reason anyone should be scared to reach out to me or to Scott or to Lucia. Any people who consult like that, like, we'll know if you shouldn't be working with us. And we'll happily tell you because I don't want to fucking waste my time with people. Yeah. But I want to work as well. So I'm really happy with everything that I'm doing right now. Working with you and Len has been a load of fun.
It's going to get more fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And especially because Len's from a whole different world to coffee. He
said he wants you to salute him from now on.
To what? Salute him? Len, if you're watching, There you go. I want him to salute. That's funny. He would say that though. So that's why I wanted you to come on here, is because there are people who need to hear from people like you who have just put their head down, ass up, worked their way through things, are not looking for ego, are not looking for, hey, I want to be Insta famous. For you, you want your brand to do all the talking, you want your coffee to do all the talking. And this is the kind of message that I want people to hear. Because when you do that and you are constantly focused on excellence, and not everyone's going to like your coffee, not everyone's going to think that what you're doing is the shit, but you do. And that's what's important, because you can back your product.
Right.
And when you can back your product, then you don't feel like a fraud.
Right.
You correctly don't feel like a coffee person, because I'm not a coffee person either. I'm
We're
a
not
coffee
at the
professional.
There's probably a latte art throwdown we're missing right now.
Correct. And I made this joke to somebody the other day. Oh, look, it's 2:30. There's a latte art throwdown going on somewhere in the fucking world.
Nothing wrong with latte art throwdowns.
No. Well, no.
Yeah.
Look, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit weird when it comes to socializing with in those kinds of situations, just because I don't really get anything out of it.
This is kind of a vacation for me in a way. I go do my thing and then
sit there and do podcasts at 20 past 10 in the evening.
Well, yeah, this isn't so much the vacation time. But then enjoy some restaurants. It is a breakaway from the cafe, and
yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to be surrounded by coffee people the whole time either.
No.
Yeah.
No, I went for a walk.
My coffee friends. My friends.
Right.
Eliminate coffee. Cross it out.
Yeah. I would hope that I fall into that category after all of this time.
She's not a friend, she's a coffee friend. So.
Dear, we have some trainings yet to do. We did a really interesting experiment, didn't we, with regards to hiring for your new cafe?
We did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was great. We did the questionnaire, 10 questions. I don't remember all of the questions off the top of my head at all.
What do you remember, and I'll remember some of the others?
Number 1 to 20. Dogs or cats.
Favorite
musician or band or whatever. Yep. Two favorite artists.
Two favorite artists. Yeah. Favorite thing to eat.
What favorite?
Versus
coffee or Pappy Van Winkle.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what Pappy Van Winkle was. You had to explain it to me. But in my defense, I don't drink alcohol, so it makes sense that I don't know what that is.
Yes.
That's
all I can remember.
Who would you have dinner with?
Yes.
That was alive.
And if anyone didn't say Morgan Freeman.
So we didn't accept anyone other than the people that said Morgan Freeman.
There's 80 of them. Morgan Freeman.
Fuck.
I'm just kidding.
That was an interesting question, that one.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So they were a big some of the questions. So what we said was, we're looking to hire. We posted it on Instagram. We were looking for people who could take direction. We told them exactly how to answer these questions, like send us a DM. We
got all the answers. We didn't look at them, and then we just looked at your Instagram pictures.
And anyone who took more than 2 selfies in the first 9, we said no. But I was telling Jared about it this morning, that whole process, about what you did and how you did cats and dogs, and how you were looking for more dog people, and how we were looking at the number system from scoring 0 to 20. And
that's important.
It really was. And so we decided that we were going to invite, was it 6 people to interview?
I think we did 7.
7?
Yeah.
And then
group interviews, I think, from here on out.
Oh yeah, that was so great.
It was fun. We had all of our employees there, my other 2 business partners, and it was just a very open environment for conversation. And I kind of headed it up with your help, and we just went and we started with some of the regular questions
from the survey. From
the survey, yeah, and just opened up kind of a conversation, and you saw who could really shine and not.
And it was really fun getting insight into why people answered the way that they answered, wasn't it? And really fun to see, like, that really brought forward the opportunity for people to start engaging with each other and engaging with the team.
Right.
And that presented a really great observation dynamic for all of us, you and Len and Dave and myself, like the people who were kind of the leadership team, I guess, looking at that, saying we can automatically see who's not going to work in this team and who is going to work in this team.
Right.
And we could see it really clearly, couldn't we?
Can I talk about my favorite question?
Yeah.
So after we went through, we did everything, and this is my friend John that owns a restaurant across the street told me this, because they do group interviews too. Shout
out to Campfire. He's wearing the cap for Campfire.
They supported me since the beginning. I supported them since the beginning.
Yeah, and beautiful restaurant. If anyone's in Carlsbad, go check out Campfire.
Yes, don't go anywhere else.
Except Steady State for coffee afterwards.
So during the whole conversation, we're using people's names and we're engaging. And at the end, you give them a piece of paper and you say, okay, imagine that you're hired. I want you to write down the name of one other person here that you would hire if you were here, and why. And then immediately, if they don't remember anyone's name, or they weren't paying attention the whole time during the interview, I mean, it's an immediate out.
And what happened was so crazy to me, because everybody picked the same person.
Yes.
Except the person.
Except for the person that got picked. She didn't pick herself.
No. And thank God. And because it would be fucked, because we couldn't hire any of them then. They all picked the wrong person and she picked herself. But she picked somebody who none of us, the person she picked, we didn't invite back for an interview.
Exactly.
And we were all pretty much unanimous, even with your team. After we let everyone, we said to your team, now go and socialize with them, talk with them, and we are going to observe that. And we pretty much all, like the leadership team, were pretty much all on the same page with regards to most people.
Yeah, it was easy and it was fun, and it wasn't stressful. It was quick. It's not interviewing 7 people for half an hour each,
And I think the whole process, if we include writing the post, going through the Instagrams, and doing the interview process, I think it would have come roughly up to 3 hours.
Yeah. And I like the whole idea of involving your current team as well. It gives them a sense of ownership in your business and what you're doing. And they want to hear who I like too, because I'm going to work with them. They're the ones that are going to be working. Yeah. I mean, I still barista as well, but they're the ones that are going to be working with them day in, day out too. So why not have them have a say? Everyone.
Well, they're invested in the process then, right?
Right.
And when they're invested in the process, they take ownership of the outcome, which is really smart. That was your idea of that. And so kudos for that. I know. Did something right. Yes.
Yes.
And so then we went on to invite 3 people back, and
They waited it out, the cafe opening, so thank you for your hirees.
It was a few weeks too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good 4 weeks probably.
And they were all very different people. Really, really different people, which was fantastic, like the dynamic. So the idea of approaching things the way that we did was, one, how do we find your people? How do we find people that we know are going to have personality traits that are going to make sense to the brand? And we tailored the questions different to when I used the thing to study, so that we could attract your kind of people.
Right.
And then from there, we went through that process. Now they're all working in, and we decided that, okay, they've come this far. They turned up for training, unpaid. They turned up to...
People should pay to come to that training, actually.
Thank you. I ran the training, so that's very lovely of you to say. But it was a fun training session. It was long, but it was really valuable.
Yeah.
And then did you go ahead and say to them like what we had agreed, that they would work 2 shifts and then you'll make a
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then you would make a final decision from there?
Yeah, because our original crew's so awesome.
Yeah.
They got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, they really do. Like, I love your team.
Yeah.
They also are people who are new to coffee, who are just embracing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so are you finding that, have they started work? The new ones?
Mm-hmm. This week.
How'd it go?
So far, so good. I don't know. I'm here.
And as far as we know, it hasn't burnt down.
No
or
calls from the fire department. No police
this
calls.
is all positive things.
Yeah.
But you've only been here for 15 minutes, so you did arrive today.
Yeah.
All of you have arrived and then like ended up here.
Yeah.
Which is great.
There, got to go do a podcast with Lee. That's the first thing.
I'm very honoured that all of you said yes.
Yeah.
Well, we did dinner. That was fun. So
big shoes to fill.
They're do working. They do. You have such a great following in Carlsbad, and so, and this is a challenge of the cafe owner, is when I introduce new staff, and you're not just one of these cafe owners that's like, oh, I'll just fucking hire anyone and teach them how to do what I need them to do, and it doesn't matter if they leave. You're so invested in these kids, well, not kids, but, and they're younger, they are millennials, but you're invested in them having this as a career,
right?
Which is another point of difference than you have with a lot of the other cafe owners.
Yeah. Why are cafe owners wanting to hire experienced baristas all the time? Why are they always looking for experienced baristas?
Can I tell you why?
Yes.
Because for them, it means that if they have someone that's experienced, they don't have to focus on the quality. It's a cop-out, in my opinion.
Then you have everybody's tamping differently, everybody's steaming milk differently, everybody's customer service is different.
And look, it's different if you're hiring somebody who has a reputation, you know their work.
That's
and
different.
That's different. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about, because we have a very young industry here in America. And I don't mean in the age of the employees, I mean that we're really just starting to ramp up what specialty coffee is starting to become.
Yes.
We are so in the early days of that. And so to find baristas, if you don't have a minimum of 2 years experience in specialty coffee in Sydney, you're not going to get a serious coffee job. And the jobs all advertise must have minimum 2 years experience working at high volume bar.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at. And so that's different to what you're saying. People just want to hire someone that says, oh, I've worked at Starbucks, or I've worked in a McCafe, or any of those kinds of things, Pete's, whatever, thinking that, well, this person's a barista.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
We're at a point in our industry here where the definition of barista is starting to change. Excuse me. So what do you mean by barista? Where have you worked? Do you mean a professional barista, or do you keep looking here for something?
No.
Okay.
I like the lights.
You're one of those men. I just like the flashy things. I think it's still fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing where if they hire someone and they as an owner don't have any experience as a barista, because that's happening a lot here.
Yeah.
People who don't have any fucking idea about coffee.
Why would you, dude, if you don't have any idea about coffee and you think you want to open a coffee shop or a cafe because you're going to make millions.
Because everyone does, right? Make millions.
Invest that into some property, lease it to a cafe that you like, that's going to do a great job, make your money every month, and go there and have a coffee every morning.
That's the golden recipe. Because there are easier ways to make money than opening a cafe.
Yeah.
It will destroy you. I mean, it is going to test every ounce of patience that you have.
Yeah.
Especially if you open in California and try and get permits.
Yes, definitely. Don't do it.
And you have to move a toilet 6 inches.
Yep, got to do that. You're going to have to do all that. That was easy. That was like, okay, we've done in a day.
Jack from Blue Lagoon had to move it 3 inches.
Right? Yeah.
Shout out to Jack from Blue Lagoon. But that was horrible. That was because he kept getting so close to opening and really wanted to open last year. And he was a couple days from the end of the year. And they had the final inspection and then said to him, you have got to move the toilet.
That was the city? Yeah. And then you call for the health department and they're so freaking busy and understaffed that, we'll be there in 4 weeks.
And so when people say, I want to open a cafe just so I have somewhere to drink good coffee, don't do it to yourself.
Yeah, don't do it.
Just the stress in...
It's going to cost probably 10 times more than you think it is.
Did that shock you?
No, I had a good mentor. My friend Dave helped me out with that in the beginning. We had our little space, and I was like, Dave, there's this space in San Marcos. I want to go there. Let's go check it out. It's huge, and it's only like $1.80 a square foot. It's going to be the next whatever, right? And he's like, yeah, okay. Let's go on a bike ride, and we'll go check it out. And we get there, and he's like, okay, well, you're right next to a church. I'd probably, Sundays would keep you alive for a while. And he's like, how much money do you have? And I'm like, we could probably scrounge up like 60,000. He's like, okay, yeah, it's going to cost probably 400,000 for you to open this. And I'm like, what? No, I can do all this, and I can do this, and I'll put this door in here. And he's like, and it boiled down to, okay, sure, you could do that. Like, let's say I believe in you. You could do that. You could open it. Your rent's going to be so much more higher than where you are now by the beach. You're going to need to you're going to be just wasting product, opening, throwing out milk because you're not busy enough, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But you could probably do it. I believe you could do it in 2 years. And then he started talking about, then to sustain there, you're going to need, starting out probably 100, 150 transactions a day. Or your little Carlsbad space, you probably need 10, 20 because your overhead's so low. Yeah. And I'm like, but no, the volume, like more people come in. He's like, no, what if you just focus on the experience and you have 50 transactions and then therefore you're making more money on 50 transactions because your overhead's so much lower, like basic business 101 stuff compared to the large cafe. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, so now would you rather ride your bike to the beach every day to open your cafe or San Marcos, which San Marcos is like 20 miles inland? I was like, okay.
It's that kind of logic that people need someone that's going to say.
So like, I'm going to open up cafes everywhere, right? Not really, but I want a bigger space. We can put the roaster here and do this. And it was
people see what they should be doing 10 or 15 years down the track.
Right.
And they want to do it now.
Yes.
And don't appreciate the journey that they need to go on as a human.
Right.
And going on a business endeavor. And I want to say you've got to earn the right to arrive there.
Yes. Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, if we would have done that, we would have then just been another, not that there's problems with coffee shops, but we would have just
gone under.
We would have been that place that, they're surviving, they offer mediocre coffee because we would have no time or money to focus on quality or anything like that. You couldn't buy
the 90 plus coffees that you're buying.
We couldn't have bought the 90 plus coffees. We couldn't.
Yeah, I feel like you're respecting the process in the way that you approached it, but you had a mentor there to say to you, hey, let me show you how this could go.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of what we're trying to do. Well, it's exactly what we're trying to do with Map It Forward in that showing people, like, pace yourself. There is a journey that needs to be respected because any of the steps that you miss, you never actually miss them. You just have to come back and do them later.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there is no free pass to this.
No. We should do a Map It Forward.
For cafe
how to
owners.
own a cafe.
Yeah, we're thinking about it. Well, we're just trying to think of who are the right mentors that we want to bring on board for that, because what kind of approach do we take to that? There are so many different ways to open a cafe, and do we do one that's how to open your first cafe?
We could do one on just leases.
We could fill 6 fucking hours on leases, and then it's like, who are the mentors? Because again, going back, we could have like, how do you start your first cafe versus how do you expand your cafe versus how do you franchise your cafe? Should I be a franchisee? Like, all of these things are actually different mapping opportunities, and it's a very different kind of map if you want to expand to go from 1 or 2 cafes to how do I do 15 cafes?
Right.
And do we bring on board mentors who are like leasing experts because they've got a lot to say? How do we talk about insurance? Because you can't really have a cafe owner be the person that's talking about insurance, about the city, about sexual harassment strategies and the other things your lawyer needs to talk to you about. Like all of those things, your accountant, like we are thinking of having a mapping course just on the financial approach to opening coffee businesses.
Yeah, and if anything, that whatever few $100s it would cost to do that would save them money of not doing it so much more.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, absolutely.
You should definitely do that.
And these are things that people either aren't aware that they need to get across before they open a cafe, or they get a rude awakening down the track when somebody says to them, so have you filed this? Have you filed this form? I mean, as a business owner myself and in a new country, talking to my accountant, and I was like, look, I'll take care of the paperwork. She said, I'm happy for you to take care of it. Just because I know when I was doing it in Australia, I've been an entrepreneur for a couple of decades now. So I knew what I needed to do, but it's so much more complicated here. There's state things that need to be filed versus federal things that need to be filed versus business permits that need to be filed, not from the state, but from the city. It's like, no, I'm not going to do this. I am so confused right now. I'm still trying to understand the difference between a W-9 and an I-99. A 1099.
Yeah.
It's...
And then you go and look it up, and there's no set thing.
There's about a 25-page...
do this. No,
yeah, because they're trying to get you lost in the verbiage, and it's like, okay. Yeah. I just handed it over to my accountant because I didn't understand.
So don't open a cafe, folks.
Open a cafe, just get the right advice to do it. I'm pretty sure Kat and Cloud are going to come up with something along those lines too, and they're the guys to do it as well.
They are. Every time I've listened to one of their podcasts, I guess it's like jumping up to the next rung. I want to do that too with my guys. I want to do that. I want to have the training like that. I want to. Those guys are doing great.
They are, and I'm so proud of them. I was saying to Jared earlier today when we were off air, I said, look, for whatever it's worth, as your friend and as someone who has been doing stuff alongside, our businesses opened at the same time, I'm so proud of what he and Chris and Charles are doing, because they're doing it so much better than everybody else. And by better, I mean with more integrity and with much more
path for us in America right now. I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm really, really proud of the fact that they've outlined their vision, they've stuck to it, they are so invested in their staff and their customers and themselves and the coffee. It's an all-round kind of approach, and it's really inspiring to watch them, not being people who have come from outside and said, well, I'm going to fucking teach everybody how to do everything.
Yes.
They've been in it for 18, 20 years.
Right.
And they've been through that journey. They've respected that journey. They've learnt about it. They've fallen over. They've learnt how to get back up. They've been through the hard shit. And Jared talked really, really frankly about a lot of the stuff that happened at Verve. And it's just wonderful to see that on the other side of that are these experiences that they've said, look, so we know the best ways to fuck this up.
Yeah.
How about we try and create an experience that encompasses our fuck ups, in the sense that we're going to try and avoid, because we've been through the path that's shown us how to do that. Look, I can't speak highly enough about those guys just because they're doing such great things. Definitely. And I feel like that's what you're positioning yourself to do, from the learning that you're getting from the people around you and through guys like they serve as mentors to an industry.
Yeah, definitely.
Not necessarily one-on-one, like they're mentors for the people that work for them. But I know a myriad of people all over the world that religiously listen to their podcast because they want to emulate the same kind of positivity. And I don't like the word positivity, but you know what I mean by that. They want to emulate that vibe in their business and within themselves as business owners or just as baristas.
Yeah.
And they're crushing it.
Yeah, how awesome is it to have employees that like to come into work and they're happy when they see you and they know what their tasks are for the day, and and everything. They just know everything. Like,
it's the dream for a business owner to have people who are excited about showing up at your business. Like, it's one thing for you to be like, I'm showing up for this. This is I own this business and I'm showing up. But for other people to be excited about contributing to something that you created, there's nothing more satisfying than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, they want to contribute. When everybody's conspiring to the same success, that's when magic happens. It's something that impresses me about your team. And
do you remember something I said maybe a month ago, where I was like, Lee, this week is the week I feel like steady state was always Elliot, right?
Yep.
Me, and I finally actually feel like steady state is
everyone's.
Yeah, like Cat and Cloud is Cat and Cloud.
Yeah.
It's not any of the owners.
It's a brand now.
It's the brand. Yeah, exactly.
And I think you used the word legitimized.
Yeah, legitimized. Yeah.
And that's, I get that feeling. That's a moment when you need to take a sit down and just like inhale how great. You couldn't, because you were neck deep in a whole bunch of shit getting the cafe ready. But it is one of those moments where, and it was really great to share that with you.
Yeah.
And just hear you say those words, because I'll never forget it. It's a real milestone in a business when you feel this thing that I dreamed up in my head has become its own thing now, separate from me. I'm not the person who's holding it up.
Right.
Now it's its own thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Can you pass me the water?
Yes.
So what did you, from that, when you had that experience, that moment, did you, in true Elliot style, think, okay, I'm going to celebrate that for about 0.3 of a second, and now I'm going to try and figure out what comes next? Would you like some water?
Yeah, hit me up. I probably went and made some phone calls to move our toilet 6 inches. And then painted the walls, because that's what needed to be done.
How much do you think about the San Franciscan that's sitting in a box right now?
A little bit. A lot.
Especially now that the cafes were...
it's out of a box, so that's good.
That's progress.
Yes, still in the crates. Electricals ran, that's nice.
When does the San Franciscan get plugged in and you fire that thing up?
Hopefully after this weekend here. We still have to cut a hole in the roof, and the whole gas line permitting thing.
In California is horrible.
California, and yeah.
I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday.
It's not even that it's, the whole air quality standard thing, that's going to be a separate issue. It's something we actually think we can get away with, because we're in an industrial park and there's not going to be complaints. And as you just learn to do things that you need to, but our landlord's kind of putting his hands in everything a little bit, and we're going to have a meeting about that when we get back, so we'll see how that goes. So that might slow us down some too, but it's just all these government agencies are so understaffed that everything takes 15 times longer than you think it would, right? Just to run a gas line from the meter to the thing is taken already a month and a half.
And everyone needs to take their piece of your cash pile.
And that too, yeah.
That raises a really interesting question. A really interesting point. Your landlord really does become a part of your, almost like a business partner.
Yeah, he is. They both are. Yeah, I actually like both of our landlords. They're both completely opposite people. This kind of goes back to opening a cafe too, and leases. If you're a new cafe, no one's in our area. It's a seller's market at the moment, right? So no one's going to give you a lease anywhere.
Really?
You will not. No, 100% no. They only want established businesses that are going to pay. The rent's already almost. It's gone up $1.50 in a year per square foot. Where we are right now on our street.
That's fucking massive.
Our landlord, I was trying to get out of our space now it was about a year ago to this day almost. And just trying and calling everywhere and trying to get anything I could, and no one wanted to hear from us. Finally, this where we are now, where we just opened this last Saturday, our new cafe. The landlord gave me the time of day. He came by our current spot and he saw it and he's like, I like what you're doing. And I showed him financials. I had got all my ducks in a row and signed a lease with a personal guarantee because we weren't an LLC yet. And he gave me the time of day, and he's a great landlord wants us to succeed and we're locked into a great lease. Since that's happened, it took us a year to open the cafe because our other business started doing so well, the small cafe. We get probably 1 or 2 offers a month now.
Wow.
From landlords. Hey,
is that because the market's
from developers
changed?
Yeah. Well, now we're a desirable brand that people
Isn't
want
that
in their spaces, right? So now, then you got to learn to turn things down. At first you want nothing but to get more places, and now you're like, I got to turn these things down because I can't do it.
Dude, as a consultant, I spend so much of my time telling people not to open a second, third, fourth place.
Yeah.
Like when they've opened one place, and I'm forever telling people, how much money have you paid back?
Yeah.
How much of your debt have you eliminated?
Same thing my original mentor Dave told me. Don't open a second. Why open a second location unless you're completely maximizing? Unless there's 5 people deep in line all day, every day at your cafe. Why?
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Maximize that cafe as much as you can.
And
unless you're doing 600 transactions, unless you're just busting at the seams, you're doing $10 a square foot a year or something ridiculous. Like
there was a cafe that I actually was working with the people that owned it to help them set up their second location. That was, 20 kilometers. I don't know how many miles that is, but it was like in a whole different part of the city. So it wasn't affecting their business. They were setting up in an area that had a lot of established